I don't think anybody on Twitter needs to know that I'm back online. Twitter don't listen to me. Twitter don't need me. Hi, it's Watcher DM. I'm Gabriel. I'm trying to give you the look. You want to come hang out? That's my looky loo, and it sucks, but it's fine. This this too shall pass. Cool. Also, sounds like Chelsea and potentially Austin will be coming to hang out for a little bit in the stream. Um, I was gonna work on this guy a bit, so I wanted to take my hand at redoing an illustration I'd done a couple weeks ago, month ago. I don't know. It's hard to tell. Time. How it works though. And there's really just no saving this thing, is there? It's just kind of bad. First first I think, and probably most importantly, is this nose just doesn't do a heckin' Thrune. Thrune has like Thrune has powerful nose. He gives good face. And I think maybe his brow is more even crossed. Kind of reminds me of Sam the Eagle from the Muppets. Manager dashboard. Hello. Hello, friendo. So if you want to see the result of the product of the stream, this is what I kind of ended up with for the Furbolg drawing for Finnegan. Are his eyes uneven? They're a little uneven, aren't they? I think it still needs some more. It will always need some more juice. I need to stop. Hold on. Damn it. Just chill the hell out. These are the ear is too high, and now doesn't really go low enough, but we're getting there. It's fine. This is fine. And then, yeah, I think, yeah, that's Thrune. Thrune the Schnoz, they called him in the military. I'm not gonna lie, having a little shadow on that nose isn't hurting it at all. Maybe this is how I do noses now. Eye on this guy looks bad too. I gotta work that out. Be working on this drawing for a while, I think, if I want to get it done right. Kind of started with some bad principles. I think the people who were here before are probably not coming back. I'm going to show you what I'm working on secretly for them. If I can, actually. I gotta see if I can find it. Actually, I know how to find it. I'll just close this, and it's right here. So, I'm working on my first character, like, portrait, like the character group portrait, as it were. So what I've done is I've gotten some shapes in place, kind of what I want, and some colors. I need to find out more about the characters. Like I really need like a good um kind of something to go off of. But for now, I think I found out that the drow character in it is a ranger. So I can probably do some kind of rangery things here. Um, And I don't know about you, but I've always thought of Rangers as being a product of good footwear. Like the moving silently and kind of tracking through the garbage terrain. Um, it takes a lot out of your shoes, and having a reliable, amazing pair of loafers probably a priority for these guys. You know what I'm saying? This register here. Let's see if we can throw some of that in there. Maybe some of that. At the top there, I think. Maybe a lip here too. Get up into the higher values here and kind of, so that's going to be in the shadow there. So this is probably going to be the only piece in the light. Need to kind of shadow that behind the thing. And then the group shot. Yeah, it's pretty dynamic. It's like I said, I've been learning a lot about like the process that I go through, or maybe more correctly, like don't go through when I paint. And one of the things I keep hearing from kind of the zeitgeist of artists out there is like steel, like just straight up steel. Like if there's a good reference for a pose that you want, you don't have to bother like trying to eyeball that pose, although that is a good exercise. Like the much faster way to do it is just grab the pose, slap it in, draw the character over the pose, right? Start working from a skeleton that's already established, and then kind of build up from there. And so think while it feels a little bit like cheating, it also feels a little bit like saving a fuckload of time, which is pretty sweet, especially with how much art I'm gonna have to do in the next, I don't know, hopefully many years. I don't even know how to characterize that. How was dinner? What'd y'all have for dinner? Chinese food. I love Chinese food. I went out for Chinese lately with Andrew, and I got some good Chinese food, and then we brought some home for mom. And it was hella funny because like basically, to be really honest with you, there's like kind of not a lot at a Chinese food restaurant that you can get that doesn't have some kind of gluten or carbs or like the billion other things. Like it's not even a billion things. Like there's only a couple of things that I can't really have on keto, and basically carbs, sugars, and um, carbs, sugars. I think gluten, like, but I'm pretty sure the gluten is just like a byproduct of the carbs. Really, it's not. I don't know that it's actually a gluten thing. Now that I say it to myself. So we're gonna try to do. Oh, that's not the color. Maybe this is the color. So we're gonna see about doing like a bootstrap there. Maybe a bootstrap there. Here a strap, there a strap, everywhere a strap a lap. I don't know if you got to this in the other stream, but I heard back from the marketing uh, advertising person today and got an affirmative, and we're gonna be working on that together. So that's super exciting. And of course, Austin was there this morning. I'm sure you were there as well. Chelsea, we got to talk to Laura Lee about the next piece for The Divisible Man, which is pretty exciting. So all in all told, pretty exciting day. Lots going on. Exciting, inviting. And I got my bed today. I got my new bed. Very excited about. I'm gonna actually get some decent sleep. I'm hoping. Looking forward to. That's great. Yeah, I can't wait to see what you get back from that artist. She sounded like she had some really cool ideas. Yeah, she's. I don't know if you follow her Instagram. If you don't, I would advise anybody listening to this to please stop what you're doing and go to Instagram and the user is Lady Lauralee. Um, I will put it in my chat. Pretty sure that's how it's done. But yeah, her sketch work is just the things she puts out on a daily basis that are so consistent and so stylized are just like wow. Like definitely something I aspire to be able to emulate or achieve myself. So it's just such great work. And you can tell immediately and you see it, you're like, oh, you are a professional. You did you have clearly done this for a living. Like the consistency of work. And I think she actually is. Like she's a 3D modeler and animator for maybe just modeler, but 3D artist, concept artist. Not sure where for, but not sure for where. I think just a little bright up right there, maybe. Just ever so slight hint of brightening over on this side, maybe even a little darkening up here. It's hard to remember where the light's coming from, right? It's like got it really tricky. One boot doesn't look terrible. Needs some more work, but we'll get there. I think this is I'm probably making a technical mistake here in drawing this the way that I am, in that if I understand correctly, the better way to draw is to kind of try and elevate the whole drawing, like up to a certain kind of resolution, and then keep doing that over the whole drawing. But kind of a big drawing, so I don't feel like I necessarily have that luxury. But we shall see. Just darkens, just a smooch. Just a little smoochy. Got this kind of pant leg here. Feels pretty dry. We're gonna get some. I don't know. I feel like shin guards or like knee pads are kind of overplayed, and I don't feel like a ranger would wear knee pads, but I could see them wearing some pretty interesting kind of pants right where they're like. Something like that. Got some maybe leather and kind of pants with like kind of leather plates like sewn into them, it feels like maybe. Color these a little bit, so. Yeah, that did some lifting. That did some pretty good carrying right there. Look at that. I feel like I'm starting to like understand some of these little tricks, how to get things to look right. Should not be painting white on this layer, but that's what's happening. So don't fight it. Don't fight it. And scale this back down and see if we can figure out where these would fit on this back leg here. Ah, cool. Well, um, I know it's probably just us hanging out, but if y'all are interested, I'd be down if you wanted to like pitch me a question off of like one of the Facebook groups or something, or any. Maybe I guess I could just do it myself. Probably should. Need to become better at it. More consistent Dungeons and Dragons question and answers from the minds that want to know. Not from the minds that want to know. From the minds that think they know, which is me. I think I know things. Probably wrong. Tips for bone preservation. Not really what I was. I must be in the wrong group. Not what I was going for. The Groupus. Okay, Dungeon Master Resources Group. Adam Beaton. I need some help with a player's backstory. They're ride or die on playing a character who is immortal. Can't be killed, just never ages. Okay. Who has been around for hundreds and hundreds of years on the run from the person who cursed them with immortality. I asked them why someone who's been around for so long is just a level 1 character with minimum skills, and they couldn't answer that. The rest of the backstory doesn't relate to this one thing, and like I said, they are ride or die on this aspect of the character. Can you come up with reasons why someone who's, say, 350 years old would have the 5e skills of a level 1 PC? So I would say that probably the kind of most interesting way to do this in a storied sense is that like maybe they were more powerful, right? But the person who cursed them with immortality has found some means by which they were able to sap their power or like give them amnesia, right? Basically like, or maybe, maybe their skills have waned. Maybe they're like 350 years. Yeah, the first couple of decades, they were like, oh, I'm gonna level up, become a buff ass, and do all the things. But then like it didn't work. And so for the next 300 years, they've been hiding in like caves and rocks and shit, like trying not to die and trying not to be found by this person, and have effectively forgotten all of their powers. They have not used them in so long that they're now a distant memory. So yeah, I mean, I could see somebody degenerating to a level 1 type of character. Like if you think about it, like all of us are, I am probably level 1 whatever my class is, right? Maybe, and that might even be being like a little that might be a little bit conceited. That's probably a little high. Probably most of us are level 1 or level 0 peasants, right? Level 0 commoners. So even that first level, right, is something. I do see an answer in here that I like, which is drug addiction. Drug addiction is a pretty cool, mechanism again for kind of in a storied way working your character into something like that. Yeah. Okay. Cool. That's an interesting question. I like it. Thank you for the question, Adam Beaton. And post Sirenakis first glance. What is the best damaging cantrip excluding Eldritch Blast? So I think there is an answer to this that you're probably not going to like. Actually, there's probably a technical answer to this question that I really should look up. What's up? Trying to think. What is the most damaging cantrip? Let's get these pants. Let's get these pants completed, shall we? Can't wear half finished, half faded pants, my man. A fucking drow. You have any respect for your station or your, at least your cool outfit? This needs to be darker. It needs to be darker. Oh, let's see. Damaging cantrips. I mean, I think Toll the Dead is a D12. Firebolt's okay. But like, okay, so Firebolt's a D10. The thing about Firebolt is it's an attack roll, which I guess your spell attack's probably going to be better than whatever the saving throw is. But like, not really, right? Like a wisdom saving throw on most guys is going to be pretty low, but they have to be damaged already. That's the downside with Toll the Dead for it to be full effectiveness, fully operational. If you know what I'm saying. Um, so I guess Firebolt might be it. I think also isn't like Poison Spray like a D12 or some shit. I seem to recall somebody pulling out some crazy Poison Spray garbage on me one day. Yeah, yeah. So Poison Spray does a D12 damage against a Constitution saving throw. So again, if the high, so somebody's got that, like Constitution's usually a monster stat, right? So they're more likely to have a high Constitution than at least a few other things. Okay, I'm gonna kind of try and flesh out what I think this armor might look like, but I don't know. I'm probably gonna get it like hella wrong because armor, not the thing that I spend a lot of my time drawing. Maybe I should. Um, yeah, I think poison spray probably is the most technical damage with a D12 against um a non-damaged creature, but it's a Constitution saving throw, so the chances of an enemy resisting are, I would say, substantially higher than Toll the Dead, and Toll the Dead probably is, I would say, the more useful of the two, even though it only does, I think, a D10 or D8 damage against non-injured creatures. And then let's look at what else we got. Oh, that was I'm sorry, that question was asked 21 minutes ago by Matt Sathra. I'm probably butchering your name. I'm definitely butchering your name. Sathra. Matt Sathra. So thank you, Matt, for asking such a good question. Ooh, somebody said Thorn Whip. So they said Thorn Whip or Firebolt, I think. Okay. So yeah, again, I'm gonna say I think the technical answer is Poison Spray. And then there's actually yet another answer, which is like Word of Radiance, I think, is like a cantrip that's like an AoE. It doesn't do a ton of damage, but it will do a ton of damage if you're surrounded. And it's radiant damage, so like nobody fucking can block it. Of course, he's probably talking about like, wizard stuff. So we're gonna say poison spray, but the save sucks. Been DMing for okay. So Joel Stacy asked yesterday at 6:19 a.m. What you doing up so early, Joel? You sleeping okay, buddy? Hey all, been DMing for a year plus now, and there's always one thing that gets me stumped. Maybe someone here has a really awesome trick for it, but dot dot dot. How do you keep track of in-game time? Like when they check if it's morning, midday, afternoon, etc. That's a fantastic question. That is absolutely a fantastic question. So what what I like to do, if I have the comfort of doing so, I have a calendar in my world anvil that's set up for my world's things, and I will either arbitrarily pick a day on the calendar that it is at the beginning of the session, basically based on how much time I think has passed. I will try and confirm it with players if I have the option, like, hey, it's been about a week, right? Or hey, this happened a month ago, right? And like kind of get a feel for it. But largely, I just try and pick a day, and then I will try and put that day in my notes about that adventure, so I know what start date it is, and kind of what time they start moving around, like what time of day we're starting. I will usually have that in my quick start, or whatever the big splashy start from the Sly Flourish suggestion. Knowing what time of day it is, then going to, basically anytime they travel or anything, I'll just make a note like traveled 3 hours, traveled 6 hours, you know, And then just kind of intermittently go, oh, look, we've passed, 18 hours have gone by. Y'all been traveling this whole time. You're tired. What are you doing? But largely it doesn't happen. I would say once you get into dungeons and stuff, the way that I tend to play it is like, I will try and keep some sense. If they long rest or they short rest, keep track of that. Everything else, I try and go like, okay, like if it's a combat, right, I'm gonna say however many rounds it is, it's gonna be that plus about 10 minutes, kind of getting into and out of combat. And then anything else we're doing, like you gotta say things like, oh, you want to search this room, it's gonna take 20 minutes, and then just make a note, search for 20 minutes. Like um keeping your session notes like that is very difficult to do, and I do a very piss poor job of it. So, don't take my advice because I basically don't take my own. But if you're looking for a solution to that, I would say that's the time for me way substantially less important, largely than day, because I want to know when things are happening like seasonally, or how long something has been going on, like if there's a bad guy that's trying to do something, like how long has he been working on that, is it making progress, check in, that kind of stuff. But yeah, so there's a decent calendar on World Anvil. It's not great. um Another thing you could do is just set up a regular calendar, right, for them, and use like Google Calendar, right, and just use a real world calendar in your game, and say, okay, we're starting on August 12th or whatever date you're starting on. And just keeping track of how long they move, how long it takes. And you can sum up, like at the end, you can just go, oh, well, this session they traveled through this much time. So at the beginning of the next session, you kind of know what's going on. Um, but yeah, that's how I would personally approach it. Joel, Stacy, thanks again for asking. And yeah, there's some pretty spicy answers here. The nice thing about being DM is you don't need to justify it. Like, sure, whatever. It's not about justification. It's about verisimilitude, right? So having an honest relationship with your players about the state of the world is an important part of building trust at your table. So I do not advise you to just forego justification. You should want to know as well, right? Like, should want to be able to answer those questions correctly for your own sake. Um, anyway, thanks again for the question. Gabriel Finnegan. Wow, this is a cool name, bro. Um, Especially with good old Glass Eye here. I will answer in the voice of Glass.
Oh, I'll ask the question in the voice of Glass. Map of Europe, sized continent, and 20 other maps done. Some classes reskinned, races tweaked for Homebrew World. About 40 NPCs done. Need some inspiration for the last leg of this for new game with new group on Thursday.
Oh God, never mind. I can't answer this question. 3.5e. No half races. Dragonborn or Warforged. Magic here is managed by a group of epic level wizards, one archmage for each school. Need some ideas for the master of each school. Master of each school. Okay. So, schools of magic, schools of magic, schools of magic. Uh, I could imagine the conjuration wizard being kind of needy. Like, just like conjures people because he needs them. It's just like, oh, hey, they're like, dude, I was in the middle of a bath. And he's like, yeah, okay, whatever, but like, I need you on this. That could be fun. Um, Evocation Wizard. So I think the normal bend on this. I feel like my gain is a little high here. I'm gonna try and turn it down. Is that better? Is that better? I feel like okay, probably pretty good now. So the normal thought process is anybody who's entertainment, right? A wizard of entertainment would has to be an illusionist. But I think an evocation wizard is actually the better, like it's your pyrotechnics guy, right? So like somebody who's really into being flashy and showy is going to be your evocation wizard. Fucking lightning and fireballs. Like this to me is your death metal rock god, right? Um, so I could see this character being something of a words. They maybe like have some other conditions. Maybe they're anxious, right? They have something that prevents them from being perceived as attractive and likable in the world. And so they bolstered that with magic, and they've become the master of that magic, right? So initially you're like, oh, this guy's the enchanter like lead wizard, and then he starts talking, and as soon as he makes eye contact with you, you're like, oh, I get it. Like Iron Man 3, I think Iron Man 3 or 2, one of those two, had that guy with the fire pokey, like he could, it was one where like they grew back their limbs and shit, and it was pretty funny. It was a good bit. And the actor is pretty cool. And yeah, I think he's a good example of that, because he starts off in that movie as kind of being this, kind of nerd who just gets pushed aside, and then next thing you know, he's kind of got like a better he's kind of upgraded his shit in the movie, and he's kind of a villain at that point, but like it's clear that he has kind of come to terms with what was going on and figured out a way to get past his limitations in that regard. And he comes off as very, intelligent and suave, even though he technically wasn't, you know. He didn't really look all that different. He did look different, but anyway, all right. What else do we got? What else? So, illusionist. I want to say like an illusionist is like probably an artist and might be a little attention seeking. Like they probably are like always trying to show off their illusions, like, and they're creative and stuff, but yeah, the boots are feeling good. I like these leggings. I'm kind of feeling these leggings right here. Not gonna lie. It's gonna be so hard. I think it goes to about here. This goes about here. Probably ish. Goes there. Cool. Thank you, big drunk bird. Play with this belt a little bit, 'cause it's kind of the first place of the purple. I feel like it deserves its place in the costume. I shall try and place it in the costume. A pink. It's pink. All right. Next question. Well, hold on. Okay, so we did a few. What else? What other one? Abjuration. Who is Abjuration? Right. And so Abjuration, I imagine being a bit of a paranoid. Like his protection magic comes from something vital inside of him that makes him distrust the world or the people around him, and he has magic to kind of facilitate that level of protection. Um, Divination Divination's probably one where you could get away with doing something a little extreme. You might be able to have like a diviner, like maybe the master diviner is blind and deaf, um, but always knows what people are saying, like just uh, or another would be like a diviner who is like acts foolishly, right? Um, and they kind of come off as a little foolish and impetuous, but the reality is they just have extra knowledge about what like what's going to happen, so they are afforded the opportunity to act that way. It's kind of a cool idea, I think. Get some black in here. I wanted that color. You. What you been drawing lately, Chelsea? Got any new sketchadoos to show me? All right, I think that's enough help on those. There is a story here. I need to know what it is. It is a picture of a giant mermaid chained to the ocean floor. It's pretty cool looking stuff. Uh, okay, the story title of this is "The Capture of Calypso," right? And it's the sea goddess has been chained by, it looks like the Tritons, maybe like some enemies of the mermaids, right? Some regional water enemies, and they have bound her so that they can siphon her power and control the sharks. That's the vibe I'm getting here. Maybe I won't. Yeah, I was gonna say I'll totally show you all this, but it's such a pain in the ass to change anything on this stupid thing. I'm probably not going to. I've been super boring when it comes to drawing. I think there's only one or two you haven't seen yet. Up for best out of three. In a minute. Writer on Raymond right now. Okay. Well, I mean, I'd love to see them. One or two. I think I only have one or two that you haven't seen too. So that's probably about normal. Ah, doesn't send me. Looky. Oh yeah. Oh, you got them all in one shot. Oh, nice. I love it. The water cooler. That's so cool. Oh, this is awesome. So is this looks starting to look like the plan? Are we doing privatized little hell with these with this art? Because I'm into it. If we are, can we publish your art in that module with Austin? I'll pay you for it. I'll pay you for the art. The smile face. Okay, cool. The smile face. I think that's a yes. It's a hard baby. Good, solid 8 out of 10. Okay. Whoop, fuck. Get this thing. DDB. This. This comes down here. Scoops up to this. Cool. Yeah, let's plan on doing that. Like, Austin, if you're cool with that, I'd be. I actually, it's kind of something that happened already at some level with one of the other books that we're publishing is I think I told you earlier. I was at Jesse's birthday party, Jesse Brown's birthday party, and I got to meet his brother Paul, and we got to talking about doing the module there. And Paul's coming on to do the artwork for his brother's module, which I think is just super exciting because they've worked together before on stuff. It's really good stuff actually. Like it's really cool comic. Um, and I feel like this shirt here that this guy is wearing is like a mithril like mail shirt or something. It's got like some interesting kind of pattern to it. Yeah, that kind of looks starting to look about right. And then this part here, I feel like is so it's got the simple cool that. Hi, Mama. Maria, you remind me of a West Side Story. Growing up in Spanish Harlem. What are you doing, Mom?
Black paint.
Black pants?
Paint.
Oh, I am out of black paint. Why? What's up?
I've given you one of mine and I also need it. Okay.
I have dark red paint.
No, it's okay.
Okay. No problem. Fair enough. One of the things I think I need to solve in the pretty immediate term is being able to stream while I'm listening to tunes. Because I know, well, actually, I don't know. I have always believed, yay, we found the black paint. I have always believed that I draw better and am better at art when I have music to listen to. That may or may not. That may be varying shades of true. At least I've always listened to music while doing art, so that's that much is true. It's starting to shape up there a little bit. This helmet looks ridiculous. I also kind of want to work on this face. I like this. I think this is like the one face out of these that I'm like, oh, this face looks. Oh, except for this one. This one looks amazing too. This guy's just. He's fucking pumped to go to work today. Oh, the flying gnome. We're gonna fuck it. We're gonna do it. We're doing him. eyebrows. Kick those eyebrows out. Kick that fancy hairstyle. Where'd you get such cool hair, Doug? Where'd it come from? Alright. Hey all, I need some curses to put on loot. My murder hobos think they're gods. Need to take them down a peg. First of all, you made these murder hobos. Don't pretend. Let's not get to the point where we're fucking lying about what we do. But okay, you wanna clean the clock of the murder hobos you made? Fine. I think that's a reasonable goal. Curse to punish murder hobos. Let's see, cursed items. What are some good cursed items? Cursed items. So rope of untying is kind of a classic, where like it appears to be a rope, like a normal rope. In fact, it's best to make it indistinguishable from your other ropes. And then when they use it in any way, like knots just come out of it. You cannot knot this stuff. Like it feels like it's knotted. You tug on it, it works. But then when you actually put actual load on it and are relying on it, it becomes untied. I think that's kind of a fun one. There's kind of the idea like of a curse that makes you sound louder than you are, right? But like it doesn't sound louder to you. And this could be used for like, basically going, yeah, they were alerted to your presence by something. Can't imagine what. And they're carrying around like this magical item that's like sitting there going, hey, adventurer's coming, and they can't hear it. So I think that's kind of a silly idea, but probably, fits under the moniker of curses to bring down parties of adventurers. What's another good? Let's see, what else is good? So of course there's Cursed Gold. Cursed Gold I think is a really cool one because you don't have to reveal what the curse is until after they've spent some of it. And the curse could be related to the person who spent it, right? So like having the PCs track down all the merchants that they've given money to get rid of a curse. I think it's pretty hilarious. Thank you, Pirates of the Caribbean, for a fantastic idea. Let's see. So, I would say avoid. I tend to avoid weapons these days. I've given out a few cursed weapons, and basically the party just ends up being like, okay, well, how fast can we get fucking rid of this thing? Like, they're gonna do what they can to get rid of it because it's actively doing harm to the party. So yeah, I don't think that those work very well for me anyway. All right. Uh, that's what pissed off looking now, ain't it? This kid's great. All right. 400 messages. Okie dokie. All right, let's back out of this a little bit. Yeah, That's pretty solid. That looks pretty decent for where we're at with that painting. I do want to do this face though. Let's look at this beautiful face. This is the face of my boy Wookie. I love him with all my heart. Kind of a big chin, isn't it? Maybe a little, maybe too big. It's alright. We'll fucks with it. I fucks with it, dog. Alright, let's go. I don't really like curse questions. I don't know, there's probably some really good ones though. What is the best, subjectively, patron for a tome warlock? I have no idea. I don't really play enough warlocks to know answer that question. I think most of the warlocks that I've seen are Pact of the Old One. I've heard Coffee Lock is a thing. I don't really know how that works, so I'm not gonna lie. I don't. Not the thing I follow. Wow. Okay. I don't want to read that one. That's weird. My party will finish up the Dragon and Icefire Peak campaign soon. In stories surrounding the adventure, they have been introduced to the names of Neverwinter, Leolon, Conyberry, Tribor, and Yartar. By the time they end this campaign, they will be high 5th level or low 6th level. Do any of you have recommendations for a follow-up 5e campaign in or around one of these towns? The wizard wants to visit a larger city in hopes of visiting a wizard's guild, but I would not object to something in one of the towns just larger than Phandalin. Again, not your DM. I don't really do Forgotten Realms. Sorry. I got a like on one of my answers. I don't know what it was. Oh, the poison spray, but the save sucks. Yeah, that's true. Alright. That. May the crit be with you. That's cute. Does anyone have a good insanity table? I had an insanity table once. Rolled on it all the time. Drove me crazy. Crazy? I was crazy once. I had an insanity table. Anyway, silliness in my silly way. Let's get this neck blocked in here. Hey, necker. Hey, necker. I'm being followed by a nose shadow. Nose shadow, nose shadow. Alright. I do not have a good insanity table. In fact, I don't even know what a good insanity table would look like. Like, I think one of the more interesting things that we're getting to at this point in history is like the notion of insanity is really being reframed as like, what is mental illness, right? Are any of us sane? There's certain levels of insanity that I think are difficult. Like they're so difficult for the person experiencing them that they are almost like the trope we have for them, I guess. I don't know that that makes it any more approachable. Like it's kind of a weird one. It's tough call. That said, I think having your character experience mental illness or neurodivergence in what ways you can is interesting. It's an interesting thing to do. Like I know um, my character Justice experiences some level of social anxiety around people, which is something I have not up until this point really experienced in my life. Although I think I've been experiencing anxiety lately, which is really weird because I have not historically been an anxious person. Um, and I've never like I've only once have I really ever had like a panic attack, and it was because I was pretty much like completely, imposter syndroming out at work when I was a software engineer um, in Silicon Valley. And I had gotten like very rapidly promoted to a position of some responsibility, and I was like, immediately was like, oh my God, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, which was a legitimate feeling. Like, and when I talked to them about it, they were like, oh yeah, well, I mean, yeah, we know you don't know what you're doing. We're expecting you to figure it out because we think you can. Like, you're fine. And eventually it went away. But lately I've been feeling like kind of restless anxiety, just general anxiety about the modules and the content we're creating. Like I'm I want this to go really well. At some level, like I would like for this to succeed. For for my sake and for my friend's sake and kind of for the sake of like the content, right? Like I think we create some pretty interesting stuff, and I think it is good. Like it belongs in the world of content, and I don't think everybody will like it, and I don't think everybody can use it, because that's just not how things are in the real world. But belongs in a museum. I love you. Thank you so much for it. Does belong in a museum. um, yes, Austin, you were very right. It belongs in a museum. Uh, not immediately though. I hope, because it'd be really cool if at least a few people downloaded it and played it first. you know, I, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you feel anxious, and I don't want you to feel anxious. And I'm trying to figure out in myself like how to not feel anxious about this stuff because I don't think that it's like it. It's really not like make or break, right? Like I don't like nobody's forcing us to do this. It's kind of our own thing, and I'm I'm very happy and satisfied with what we've done so far. So I don't really have anything real that's like, oh, you should worry now. Like this is all going terribly because it's not, right? It's going extremely well. Like we have 250 followers on Instagram, which is in a couple of months is like pretty good. And we've got some we've got like almost 100 people on the mailing list, which again is nothing to sneeze at for a couple of months of God. Oh God. Oh God. For a couple of months of having a website up and doing work like this, I don't think that it's not bad. Oh, thank you, Stormy. This is just the beginning. Actually, Stormy, if you're in channel, you're probably not on Twitch though. Hold on, I need to figure out how to do. Is multi-streamed? Thank you, Mama.
You're welcome.
Okay. Thank you, Stormy. I'm glad you like it. This is a part of a bigger picture that I'm doing that is for some friends of mine. So I'm doing their adventuring party as a group shot. So I'm working on it, trying to get better. Yeah, this little face here is starting to look pretty respectable for a drow. I'm thinking that my anxiety is more deriving from the fact that like I keep like speed checking the fucking statistics on the site. like like looking at them is gonna make them go up or something, and it just doesn't really work like that. Like I need to kind of just get over it a little bit, just be like, yep, it'll happen when it happens. Don't worry about it. And when I talked to the guy today, when I talked to David about the marketing efforts for this stuff, he was like, he basically said exactly the same thing. He was like, oh yeah, you're doing great. Like that's you're, those are good numbers. And I was like, oh, okay. I have not had somebody around professionally to get that feedback from, so I have felt like, oh god, we're not doing good enough, and I feel like I'm failing my creators by not promoting them enough. And I know at some level, like that is true, right? Like I need like this whole effort to get a to get a marketing to get some marketing help has kind of been predicated on the notion that like I don't feel confident doing it. I don't really know what I'm doing, and in that way at least I feel like I'm underserving um my my community, right, who are kind of relying on me exclusively for that. Even though it's entirely possible that one of them would actually be better at doing it, right? You know, it'd be super cool is if I could convince Wookie that his character has those tattoos and do the facial tattoos for the web worn drow that we did on one of these. Fucking badass. Badass. Cool ass shit. Right. Bounce out of this real quick. Okay, cool. It's looking still needs more contrast to think of. I have managed to wash out all that made this look right. Anyway. Okay, cool. So Rob Gonzo, love the name, on August 4th at 8:50 p.m. asked, has anyone here ever felt the need to put some kind of restraint on a player who is not playing down their character's intelligence? If so, what did you do? I've got a smart player who I think honestly just forgets his character only has innate intelligence. I'm wondering if he needs some more tangible reminders other than the occasional int based skill check. And yeah, absolutely. I think that the right way to react to that is to maybe say like, do you think your character would think of that or know that? Right? Just challenge their assumption. Like the chances are, if the player has forgotten, right, and you go, wow, that's a really cool idea. Do you think your character would have thought of that? Um, they can go, oh gosh, no, yeah, I guess not. And then maybe figure out a way that like one of their kind of inept realizations like could lead somebody else to getting there, or have them make a check, have them make a check to like use the idea and say it correctly. Otherwise, have them say the plan incorrectly, right? Like everybody at the table is playing a game, so as long as you can get buy-in, right? One thing too to like recognize is that people who sound smart are not always smart. Like you can be you can have a really profound lack of knowledge in something, or lack of useful intuition about something, and be convinced that you're right, and give like very detailed descriptions of why you're right, in spite of the fact that you're wrong. This is called the Dunning-Kruger effect, I think, largely, and it's prevalent in almost everything. Like, especially in military and government, you find lots and lots of people blowing hard about, how things work, and yet, can't really seem to get much done on their own, and largely rely on, professionals, people who like do the work finding out, right? Scientists, one of the reasons that scientists tend to be, I don't know, really good scientists don't necessarily sound as smart as they are, and the ones who sound the smartest are probably taking a lot of liberties with how much they actually know, I guess, is kind of what I'm saying. So they don't necessarily have to be mutually exclusive. But I do get it. Like, if the player is coming up with amazing ideas, and they just kind of fumble your shit, you're like, God damn it, dude! Like, you gotta fucking hate intelligence. Like, like I said, just have the conversation with the player, and ask them, hey, is this something you're seeing? Because I'm seeing it. And if they agree, and they're like, oh man, I just keep forgetting or something, then just be like, okay, well, I'll tell you what, like, why don't we work out something, right? Like, negotiate with the player. Say, why don't we work out a thing where, like, if I spot one of these again, right, I'll just challenge it at the table. I'll say, hey, like, do you think your character would know that? And I want you to really, answer honestly, even if it would not necessarily help the party in the traditional sense. But, play your character more. And see if they're into it. If they're not, and they really are wanting to have just taken a dump stat that they don't have to rely on, right? Because the other part of that is, like, it's entirely possible they made the character and put that as their dump stat because they're intelligent, and we're like, well, intelligence is only used for checks. Like, I can know things, and my character kind of knows them implicitly because of my thinking, so that's possible, and it's not even really bad, right? It's slightly disruptive to, I think, what your intentions are, but it's it's okay. But as long as you both know what's going on, you can make the right decision, and for the table, I think. All right. Cameron Green, 5 hours ago, writes, okay, I've got a doozy for you today. Y'all ready for a doozy? Let's take a little sip of tea. One of my players in my game is a clone of the most powerful wizard in the land, named Alatar the Great. Lord of the Rings reference. It's not the same as the spell clone in 5th edition. Each clone has their own autonomy, so it's not a clone, it's a duplicate. The clone doesn't keep the memories and have to start from level 1. All of them, Alatar included, are obsessed with immortality. Horcruxes are a thing in this world, a secret only understood by Alatar and his clones. My friend's PC is level 9 and became aware of another clone who is level 14, and this clone is obsessed with Alatar's secrets. This clone is trying to steal everyone's Horcruxes for himself, of course. I need a reason a level 14 clone wizard can instill fear in a level 20 wizard, Alatar. Easy. Alatar himself may not even be the original either. That's why he fears him, right? The level 14 one, we'll get there. Alatar himself may not be the original. I hope I explained it okay. Sometimes describing one's campaign is a little bit like telling someone about a dream you had. Sometimes. Sorry, buddy. This is Thrash, the level 14 clone. Oh god. Okay. Yeah, so it is. Yeah. So it looks like you got a tiefling. So yeah, I think the level 14 knows that Alatar is not the original and has proof. He has placed contingencies on his safety that will expose Alatar and his true name, which would allow any number of casters or gods to easily find his power. I don't know. True Name's a good one. True Name's a solid one, I'd say. You're Not the Original is a solid one. There's probably a couple of other good ones in there for reasons that this 28th level caster might fear this 14th level caster. Also, 20th level caster, so I think this kind of came out when I was talking earlier about like how the different wizard schools, like, imagine having the knowledge of a 20th level caster. Like, you can cast divination spells like whip, 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 right? So a lot of the time you have like kind of knowledge, you have foreknowledge of things. You're scrying, you're seeing all this stuff go on, right? And you kind of have like some sense of what's going to happen next. So what is terrifying to a person like that is somebody with like very solid countermeasures, right? If you cannot spy on this person and they show little or no weakness, right? Like, I guess how I would think about it is, how does Alatar know that this guy is level 14? Right? Like, there's not like he's walking around with a fucking pin on his chest that says just reached level 14, like, congratulate me, right? So Alatar should kind of have, and Alatar likewise has no idea that Alatar is 20th level, right? He may know that he can cast spells of a sufficient level, but as if the other duplicate can make it appear as though he can cast spells that Alatar cannot, Alatar has to assume that he is a more powerful wizard. That's where I would go with it. That's what I would think. I think that's actually a really good solution. I'm gonna post that. Alternately, if the level, okay, so if Thrash could make it appear as though he could cast spells that Alatar cannot, maybe divine magic or something that stands out. Oh yeah, I'm just gonna post maybe divine magic. If he cast spells that Alatar cannot, then Alatar would have to assume that Thrash is the higher level wizard. Remember that people in D&D don't walk around with a name tag containing their class and level. I don't know. That's, yeah, I don't know. Cool idea, maybe not. We'll see. Josh Conway asked a question 8 hours ago. Hey, first post here. What do you guys do for shops? The most dreaded part of my campaign are when my players say, oh, I want to go to the shop. I've used a couple of online generators, but they're either a bunch of junk in there or game-breaking magical items. I never know what to have in stock. Are there any good resources for this, physical or online? So, a shop of magic items, I would actually put a little, if I were you, I would put a little bit of time into pinning down what magic items you want to offer your party. at the level that they're at. Like, I know that that's not a real, it's not an answer that you're looking for, almost certainly, but I think it is probably the right answer because the thing is, like, if you grab, it's kind of like you said, right? Like, they're either full of broken stuff where you're like, wow, okay, if I gave you this, you're never gonna be feel threatened again, right? Or they're like total garbage. And most garbage does not come down to, oh, it's a terrible item. It comes down to, it's a fine item. It just doesn't apply to my characters, right? So Mike Shea from Sly Flourish, and I should basically start asking him to hook me up with some cash for saying his fucking name so much because he's been so useful to me. But he has a good thing in his Lazy Dungeon Master toolkit thing that's like, it starts with review the characters, right? So like going through the process of reviewing the characters in your game and pinning these things down, right? Saying like, well, how, like, what kind of magic item do I think they would enjoy? What would work well with their class? It's even okay to ask the player, right? Hey, what do you think you would want? And maybe give them something right on the nose, or something a little adjacent. Doesn't really matter. Um, you sexy beast, you. I feel like drow don't have like regular eyes, like, but I'm pretty sure they actually do. Oh, maybe not. Maybe they have glowy eyes. Oh, it's kind of all over the map. I think most official Dungeons and Dragons drow pictures seem to have them with just white eyes. Yeah, they do. We're gonna go with the Dungeons and Dragons version because I think they look pretty cool that way. You know what? Actually, I'm gonna stop working on this guy, just this one guy specifically, because I feel like I'm kind of must be his skin. I'm sinking in. You know what I'm saying? All right. Bow, 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 bow. Back out of that. Let's go look at some other stuff here. Should we get some? Actually, I wonder if this would go pretty well over here. Get this. That. All right. Let's see. So, yeah, for shops, pick out some magical items, put them in with a bunch of potions and scrolls. Make that the magic items available list. I would actually go through and like pin down what magic items you want to sell to your player characters throughout the whole campaign, and just basically keep them in bins, right? Say like at level 1 they should, well, not level 1, but like at level 5, up to level 5 they should have maybe access to these. By level 10, these. By level 15, these. Keep anything that they haven't bought available in future stores, so if they want to swap something out, fine. And yeah, just have that list handy and broken up by the tiers. I think tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, with magic items that you feel like offering them. And again, feel free to get their ideas on it too. Taylor Harrell. No, I don't want to do that. Okay, well, hold on. This is nah, yeah. I'm gonna switch groups here because this group's a little silly, just a little silly sometimes, which is cool, but a little silly. Um, Group us. Give me the groups. D&D DMs only. feedback to the final version. Pain Bearer, Quarterstaff. Cool. Just a magic item on DMs, D&D DMs only. Okay. Moncada, in a 45-minute slide presentation about the basics, what 5 to 8 topics would you include without overwhelming but allowing them to join a game? Yeah. Yeah, I'm gonna say, how do you learn baseball? Right? You don't learn baseball by keep telling somebody the rules of baseball. You learn baseball by playing. Your 45-minute slide presentation should be 45 minutes of solo play or like one-on-one play, right? Where you basically say, hey, this is your character. These are the important parts of your character. Let's go through this. And then you just take them through an adventure, right? Doesn't have to be great, doesn't have to be grandiose, doesn't have to be huge. It can be you work for the City Watch and you witness a theft. You chase down the robber and they break into an abandoned building. And you've lost them. You follow them in, and that's where the adventure begins, right? You walk them through an abandoned building. Doesn't have to be complex. They don't have to succeed at the end, right? Doesn't have to have any of that stuff. What you're trying to do is show them how the mechanisms of the game work in practical terms. Give them skill checks for things that are like, oh, you're investigating this room to look for secret exits or see if he's hiding in it somewhere, or anything like that, right? And I would argue it can work even better if you use their interests as one of the subjects for the game. So if somebody is interested in art, you might use like a gallery heist, kind of setup, or like some famous piece of art has been stolen. There's kind of a lot you could do if you know the person's interests that would hit. So one of the I guess what I'm saying here is like we tend to identify with stuff that we already know better than we do with stuff that is new to us. So anything we can do to make what's happening in Dungeons and Dragons feel more familiar to the players, right, the better. That'd be my advice on the subject. 5 to 8 sounds like you've got encounters. 5 to 8 encounters. Easy peasy. Hello all. I was wondering if anyone knew a website or had a commoner character sheet that I could get my hands on doing a one-shot with a twist. Yeah, there's the commoner stat block in the Monsters Manual. If you are trying to make 0 level characters, you're probably looking for, there's some interesting ones set up in the newest, the Van Richten's Guide to Ravenloft that you might find useful for hero, for running horror games. Those might be a good way to start if you're looking for that. Cameron Deputy asked a question, looking to write a homegrown campaign in the setting of the Forgotten Realms. What books have in-depth descriptions of the major realms? What resources would the vets recommend? Any advice? So, Forgotten Realms has a bajillion things about it. So I would actually argue that when in doing something in the Forgotten Realms, you are really not doing a homegrown anything, right? You are going to often find yourself tied to the lore that is there, right? And kind of rightly so. Like, I think it's Ed Greenwood's world, if I remember correctly. So any of the books by Ed Greenwood, any of the novels by R.A. Salvatore would be good places to start for something like that. What else? There's some decent stuff in the DM's Guild, that's true. And then there's also the Forgotten Realms wiki, which I'm, I'm not gonna tell you that it's like the best resource in the world, but it is huge. And so if you're looking for details, like I think my character I was talking about earlier, Claire Monticello, is she's a Forgotten Realms character, right? She was in a game that a friend of mine ran in the Forgotten Realms, and that character, like I just went on Forgotten Realms wiki and looked for vineyards because I knew I wanted my character to be into wines, and so I found there was a reference in a book to a actually, let me pull it up. I have the information about this character. It's pretty interesting. So I'm gonna pull it up and just read it off because I think it was a pretty fun character to set up. Charlize McLaren. Thraun McElroy. Let's see here. It's Justice Naming Way, Phyllis McElroy. I love that I have characters that are like related to each other, like Thraun and Phyllis. Wait a fucking minute. Where's Claire? Where's Clarette? Oh, here she is. Clarette Monticello. Right, in the Black Midwinter. So this was, made from, for a game that my buddy ran. Okay, so she has an inheritance. So my inheritance is my family vineyard in the Purple Hills of Tether. Rightful heir to the Hale Tower Vineyards. So Hale Tower is the name of the vineyard that was involved in. Actually, I'll just read this. So she is now hiding after her father was discovered to be involved in an Amnian smuggling operation. So the vintner was shut down from the smuggling operation, and she, has basically changed her name and fled. So her real name is like, I think Davin Hale Tower. But she goes by Clarette Monticello, which Clarette means red and Monticello means red mountain, I think. Or like purple mountains, right? Born to her parents, Orandus and Lundera Hale Tower, named Davin at birth. Born without her right arm, it never seemed to slow her down much. She'd be found playing in the Red River with the other children when not working in the vineyard with her family. When she was 15 years old, she fell in love with one of the vineyard workers named Henkel Ridgemore, who was working different farms, vineyards, and ranches across the Purple Duchy. It was during one of their young, playful trysts that the wizard Amarant arrived, accusing my lover of being in league with the smugglers. As he was being taken away, I ran to the house, cry changed. I changed tense there. I need to not do that, but I did. It's my fucking character background. Nobody cares. Nobody's reading this thing about me. I'm reading it to you. Deal with it. I realized that my life was about to be completely destroyed. There, marching out of the house, bound in chains, my own father was being led away by Stoli Thumarister. He was gone. Mother was always away in the city, trying to argue for his freedom, eventually just begging for his release. I moved away 3 years later on my 18th birthday. The vineyard in despair followed. The shame of my family name inside the Purple Duchy had led me to take up using a name, one that my papa used to describe the lush red hills of our vineyard just before harvest. Now, almost a decade on, I still travel and brew wine for people who need it most, trying to bring a little peace to the toil of the working man. Having found a home in the temple of Yira, where the priests and priestesses there have been so willing to have the education of my youth integrate with their mission of spreading peace and joy. This last few weeks have been a tumult of activity, as my last missionary trip landed me in the protective arms of a group of adventurers. I can't speak much of their methods, but they saved my life, so I owe them some peace of mind. Now, if only I could convince them to put their crazy weapons down and just relax over a drink. Oh, I love this character. She's so good. She's a peace cleric. She's so good. Why do I have little light bright blues? Do I have? Maybe they're colored different for a reason. I don't know. Blah blah blah. Inheritance. Seafoam green eyes. Neutral good female. Medium 5'5". Lyra. Burgundy hair. Ruddy tan skin. 27. When I set my mind to something, I follow through no matter what gets in my way. If someone is in trouble, I'm always ready to lend a hand. Ideals, destiny. Nothing and no one can steer me away from my higher calling. Wine. Bonds. My tools are symbols of my past life, and I carry them so that I'll never forget my roots. Vineyard. Yeah, brewing. Brewing supplies. I'm pretty sure they are, in fact, brewing supplies. Nope, it's a flute. I'm fucking wrong. Flaws. The people who knew me when I was young know my shameful secrets, so I can never go home again. And that's... God, it's like it writes itself. I want to play this character again so bad. She's one of the ones I'm considering making for the game in London, or in whatever, Edinburgh, Newcastle, or whatever. Okay. Alexander Kubricki 3 hours ago says, D&D Adventurers League. It seems a little too restrictive for my taste, but I wonder if it's better for newer players to have the added structure. Any thoughts would be welcome, and if you do prefer AL, I'd love some advice on where to start. So, Alexander, I played Adventurers League for a little while, and it is pretty nice, actually. It's pretty stable sense of what's... God, wow, that's quite a difference. Just a little bit of paint makes, isn't that crazy? So I noticed a couple of things in Adventurers League that I didn't like, but I would say by and large, it is absolutely fine for beginner players and even veterans. Like if you're having a hard time finding a consistent group, Adventurers League, local Adventurers League organized play is a great option. The structure in it is there to prevent something that is going to be there anyway. So I don't know how to tell you this, but some people like thinking that this game has like a kind of a win condition, right? And they will do things like get upset when their character dies or when they fail at stuff, like, and when that happens, and they're in, Adventurers League stuff, it can get a little drama-y. Or at least that's kind of what I saw, like friendships kind of harmed because of in-game stuff, which for me is just kind of like, okay, man, like we can talk about it, it's not the end of the world. But yeah, I get, because it's a organized play, I think there's a certain sense that like it's somehow going to be more fair, and the reality is it's not. The Adventurers League adventures are just as broken as any of your homebrew shit. They're not that great. They're not bad. They're certainly not bad, but they do not deliver any kind of balance, if that's what you're looking for. Okay, I'm going to save this and shut it down. And we're going to do one more drawing. Let's see, I think you probably haven't seen the cultists, the colored and a finished cultist. I think that's pretty good for the cultist. I think we're good off of that. I think I'm just going to ship that as is. I don't want to fuck with it anymore. And this is the cover for that module. So I might actually just be able to, yeah, I think what I'm going to do, so I think I told you, I talked to the person today about the marketing stuff, and I think what I'm going to start doing is, instead of trying to post something on the weekend, we're just gonna post on the same day that we do our meeting. So I'm gonna post Tuesday morning, if possible, and then we're gonna do our like all of our marketing from Tuesday through like Thursday, and then we'll do like daily posts throughout the weekend to keep activity up, but it won't be like, oh, we're trying to release this weekend, because and I kind of recognized this out of the gate. I don't know why I didn't do something about it, but like it turns out the weekend is not the time to be trying to get people to look at your D&D stuff. Like on the weekend they are already doing their own D&D stuff, right? You like it? Oh, thanks. Thank you. I'm glad. All right, let's do one more doodle. I want to do another doodle. What do we doodle in? We got glass eye. Hey, you know, Chelsea, if you're in there, what was the person? What were the other characters you were talking about who had kind of flaws that you were? Were you referring to like Hiccup or? Because I know Deuce Danner has some flaws, some characteristics that could be considered flaws, I guess. I think that's a so do module drops. Yeah. So I'm thinking that we're gonna do our major content drops on Tuesday, and we're gonna do our like smaller, like the player based content drops on Wednesday and Thursday, and then we're just gonna do like really like normal stuff, like you know, memes, maybe a blog post right over that kind of Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Right, Krug 7 intelligence. Made mention of any of the countless coward characters. You calling our players a bunch of cowards? That's legit. Oh, Krug. Can we do a dumb looking Krug? Let's try. Oh, wait a minute. This is the beautiful jaw and head and neckline of a hedonist with a mouthful of eels, I think. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't have a good time. Alright, little nostrils. Nope. Looks terrible bad. Terrible bad. Oh, yeah. Blip, 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 blip. Throw that away. Get a new layer. You go gray. Gray. Okay. This and up to the right layer. Okay, let's grab a head here. Let's look at what is a Firbolg. Try and zone in on that Firbolgness. I love this kind of checked out look. Just like, oh, okay. Does it looks like among Firbolgs this is a pretty common like beard situation. Would you say that Krug has a beard? I think I've always been under the impression that Krug was kind of gender neutral a beard kind of implies. Uh, I don't even know how to shave. Whatever really thinks about it. Okay, yeah, so he doesn't know how to shave. Well, not knowing how to shave doesn't not grow you a beard. So, Craig, welcome to having a beard. Now it's a little longer. And probably a little mustache too, because you don't really know how to do it. It's fun. Stop doing that. Gosh. Now you're picking on me. I kind of like this like Fraggle Rock nose that's just like, oh, don't. Okay. That's some kind of 1,000 yard stare fucking eyes going on. Like, I mean, I guess. You feeling it? Is this is this the Krug we know? You have that sphere, don't you? Onyx sphere. I was mentioned in a Facebook. Probably somebody telling me I'm an idiot, so we'll see how this goes. Yes, of course. Alatar is aware, has the memory of creating each clone, including Thrash. Still doesn't necessarily mean he's the original. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if that's in agreement with what I was saying or not. It's a very specific thing, so I guess probably not. Not important. All right, let's look back at Furbolg. Furbolg. And you like your chest hair there? Screech. All right. Let's do. So the way I've always seen Furbolg's renditioned is they have like not big pink ruddy noses. A little bit ruddier. Go into some pale blues. You know what? You know what he fucking reminds me of is have you seen the movie? Oh, it's a Pixar movie with the elves. Onward, I think. Called Onward. And the elves are like blue skin. And they have I don't know. Oh, it was cool. I like that. For some reason, I kind of envision Krug wearing like a bathrobe most of the time, kind of like I don't know, Big Lebowski vibes. Um, Probably just in my head though. And Krug has the disguise self spell. A couple months ago, I actually really enjoyed it, dude. The Big Lebowski is like such a good movie, so classic. The fucking like the psychedelic trip out scene where he fucking like has that crazy dream with like the bowling pins and all that shit and the chick like to that song. I just what is it? To see what condition my condition was in. That shit right there. That song is the biz. Absolute fuego. Krug Lebowski. Drinking milk in a bathroom. Hell yeah. Oh, it's fucking great. Hell yeah, dude. So quality. Oh, I'm so glad it's a fucking weekend. I feel so good, like just being able to relax and do. This is great. Like this is super fun. I'm getting to hang out with some friends online. Thank you for coming and hanging out with me today. All right, let's get some shade up in this. Oh, inhale. Oh, yeah, no. He does look a little, looks a little shocked. Little deer in the headlights going on. This in here. This under here. Seems legit. Oh, this is so funny. Alright, let's get something in the higher. A little bit in this, and a little bit of B. Just a little bit. And it occurs to Krug. He doesn't even know Alhazarad's real name. Bum, bum, bum. Oop, oop. Okay. So tricks I'm learning here. Edit. Oh, just edit. Transform. I think. So I think what's wrong with this is a skew is needed. Kind of even it out. It looks a little bit better. It still looks a little bit wrong though. Woo. Wibbly wobbly. Okay. Also got some kind of Patch Adams vibes going on here. You ever see that movie? Dead Poet Society stuff? Robin Williams? Why was he so much better on cocaine? You know? That must have plagued him, man. I would fucking hate that. To have like that much body of work out there just being like, hey, you were better on drugs. Like, fuck, man. doctor is the best medicine. Krug is not a real doctor. This is not medical advice. Oh, I love it. Oh, I fucking adore it. Laughter is the best medicine. Take 5 jokes. Yup, yup, yup. Yes, I mean, I guess I can just keep working this until it's done. And Krug has disguise stuff. So Krug at some level knows something about looks. But shaving doesn't fit into that. I think this eye here is too far and maybe too big. Maybe a little bit too big. Let's start with just toning its size down a little bit and maybe trying to flesh out some more of this side of this face here so it doesn't look like just a big soupy black mess. Okay. That's a little bit better. And then I think le pupille. Le pupou. Jim the normal human man also has a beard, probably. You know what Jim the human man has? Fucking dance moves. That will forever be one of my favorite fucking moments in Dungeons and Dragons, actually. Jim the human man. Dancing his way into town. Did it you delivered Jim the Human. So Krug, as Jim the Human Man, delivered the wine for the festival that was drugged. Right, that like took the town, took Clement, basically. Like you were instrumental to the claiming of Clement as the Goblin City. I'm pretty sure. Whom Glass Eye Finnegan is the basically the general of the Clement goblinoid force there. And I'm pretty sure actually he might be in charge. He might be in charge. Because he's got that Oath of Conquest thing. Oh yeah. Jim the normal human man. Such quality gaming. Alright. We're gonna bring these down a bit. We're just gonna have a little bit of color fun here. Just gonna do some things and stuff. Put a little fur on the end of the ears, a little bit of fur. What do you think? Glass Eye, as far as I know, is in charge of Clement, yes. Yeah, I think Glass Eye is in charge of Clement. For a second, I was thinking, oh, it's probably Dankard, but I think Dankard ranks lower than. And Sniz don't give a shit. Sniz does not care enough about other goblins to be bothered with that kind of petty management task. Oh, this guy looks fucking great, dude. It's so dingy looking. God, I would love. But let's try and get a little bit more blendies. I think I'm gonna a little bit. And then we're gonna take this, just blend it in across the forehead here. Ever so gently. Dang it. Okay, that was basically actual black. It just didn't look like it. So, Scott said he'd be working on the adventure writing template. I thought was pretty cool. Nice of him to do so. Unfortunately, I don't think it's going to be tremendously useful for like you and I, for instance. Maybe it might be more. It might be useful for me if I decide to do some actual writing, which I probably should. Like, I really do. Does like one of the whole points of doing this thing was for me to publish some of my adventures. So it doesn't really make a lot of sense to have not published very many of my adventures. But bing. I reckon the board have green eyes. Though you probably have it on your character sheet what color eyes, right? I'll do the necessary research to establish the facts of this character, the dude. What campaign? What campaign is Krugget? Oh, the Pixels and Pagans 3, maybe? I don't think it's the original one. All right, I'm gonna look at 2. We'll see if it's in 2. If it's not, let's check the rest of it. Nope. That's really something they should improve in this program is the ability to look up. Yeah, here we go. Krug. Druid Barbarian. Fucking love it. I fucking love it. Such a cool character. And yeah, you're right. The Krug that I drew looks like he has a thoughtful think on his thinker. This one looks like he's surprised to find out that he can think. The other one is a portrait ordered by El Hazard to make an image of Krug that looks make him look distinguished. Regal, if you don't mind. Like, have his mouth be closed. Like, all right, let's see here. Oh shit, you're proficient in thieves' tools? What are you? Who is this person? Oh, you're an urchin. Right. I remember this. I eat like a pig and have bad manners. I don't like to bathe. I bluntly say what other people are hinting at or hiding. I have seen you do this many, many times. Shave and paint my menial. A freshly shorn artist shows up to paint the menial. No. Shave the menial and paint it, you idiot. Oh, that's great. Let's see. Oh, up brown eyes. Good old brown eye. Let's bring this down a bit. We're just gonna give a little brown swoop around the pupe. Ill. And then I'll come in and do some more detailing on that later, but just to get something started. And then I think so I could be wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure that this sphere here is like an onyx sphere, right? So really anything What am I doing? Put this back in and then try and bring it down a little bit. Simmer down. All right. Whatever. It looks fine. We're not trying to go too deep but too real here. Also, I have the skin on the wrong. This is the wrong type of blue. I think we got to do this here for this. In fact, actually, what I'm going to do. All right, we're just going to try something here real quick. So, eyes brown, hair mossy. Mossy. I didn't realize that. Why am I so bad at my job? So, Krug has like greenish hair with blue skin, with bluish green skin. Am I reading that correctly? I'm gonna merge this down, and we're gonna try something real quick. It's just gonna do a hue saturation modifier on this. So we're just gonna try and shift the hue just a little bit towards. Yeah, so that's some more greenish blue. That's more green. So if we go into this zone, we start getting a much more kind of purpley red in the nose. We get really, really purple hair. But we can fix the hair. The skin would take a little longer. So, and then, so we're going for a mossy color of hair. The best part of this is that the purple undercoat is actually doing like a ton of heavy lifting here by implying a lot more green than I'm actually laying down. So it does not take very much green next to all that warm purpley color to look like, oh, hey, wow, that's kind of a lot of green going on here, right? Cheating with color theory. Shave, paint, and dye my medium. What do you think? Is that closer to the Krug you know? The Krug you imagine? Krug we've grown to love and trust. Fear, the maul of. Indeed. Fun fact, originally he was mothy skin toned with blue hair. Somewhere along the way, someone described him as blue skinned. It probably was me. I'm so bad at this. Like, I only have one fucking job, and it's to, like, faithfully portray the worlds to people. But I'm sure at some point I was like, oh yeah, this is Krug as a Furbolg. Furbolgs are are blue skinned because I saw it on Critical Role one time, or that's actually my character is also a Furbolg. Um, this is the one that I'm currently planning on running at the D&D in a Castle event as Vincenzo. My thank you. Yeah, I'm glad you like it. Kind of liking it too. I want this color to be like down here on this lip, like the nose shadow is just. Leaping and hopping on a nose shadow. I never lose my eyes. Okay, and the other thing I was going to look at was what's a Krug a Warren? Holy shit. Holy shit. So muchness. Okay, but just regular common clothes. So let's do something common clothes like. Um what color jerkin do you think? That's well, they're in fact Alhazrad's menials, so I'm wondering if they would be like dressed by Alhazrad. Does Al have a specific color schema that he requires his menial to wear? Okay. We're gonna start with some orange here. Al would wear red. Okay. Cool. I'm gonna do Krug in a kind of burgundy. Maybe like a fire engine red. So as to not outshine Alhazarad's flaming red, right? Al is not cool with that kind of equality. Oh, you gonna stay the night, night, be on my nose, shadow. No shadow, no shadow. Leaning hot and on shadow. No shadow, no shadow. No shadow, no shadow. Alright. Let's see if I can get a big old brush and block this shit in so I don't have to think about it too much. Boom, 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 boom. Bibbidi boo. Cool. Wow, that kind of did a lot of work. All right, let's do the flip. All right, the flip worked. Still looks okay. Big, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. Cool. Some kind of salmon highlight layer up here. Grog dance. Are you telling Krug to dance for you? I tire, Menial. Dance for me. Entertain me. 5 jokes a day. Do this. Do this. And bring it down. Whoa! That was a little excessive, maybe. Ooh. Oops. All right. Um, and then I don't know, I feel like Krug maybe wears like a mustard undershirt. In honor of his previously mossy skin. I think also it kind of goes with the shirt a little bit. Maybe not. Actually, maybe it doesn't go with the shirt. here. I'm just gonna give Krug some eyelids. Turns out eyes that don't have eyelids don't look like eyes. Mhm. Kind of this mustache was kind of hitting different. I gotta love it. All right. I think also what we need over here is like there needs to be some continuation of the hair situation. Like I think this looks too much like he just has hair on one side of his head, the other side is just not doing that. Doesn't look right. That looks a lot better. But yeah, so I think to kind of combat that thing I was talking about earlier with the anxiety and stuff, I think what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna restrict myself from looking at the stats for things like basically just once a week. I'm just gonna say, oh, okay, like that's my day for checking that stuff, and it'll probably just be Tuesday. We'll just see how we did the week before and move from there. I think that's the most reasonable kind of approach. I'm starting to get some really strong like dad vibes off of Alhazar out here, or off of Krug here. I don't know if y'all are feeling that. Maybe else feeling the son of a boom, 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 boom. This up just a little bit. Get like a little bit higher register values up here. I just realized that the caption for this illustration is almost certainly going to be like Krug. 7 intelligence. It's just a hilarious caption for a picture. I wonder if Al would ever like introduce him as such. Just be like, "Oh, this is Krug, my menial. He has a 7 intelligence." Like, just right out of the gate. Well, if you're going to be explaining that to Krug, try not to use any big words. He's only got a 7 intelligence, you know. Could you imagine if that was like how we dealt with that in the real world? It'd be so shitty. If somebody was just like, "Oh, you know, I would have explained it to you, but you've got a 7 intelligence. Like, I don't think you really would have gotten it." And I've had people say that to me before, but like, they didn't have the 7 intelligence to like they didn't have that metric. They were just like, "Oh, I didn't think you'd be smart enough to understand that." To which I always went, "What? Think I'm stupid? I am at least half as smart as you." That's before I really understood how fractions worked, but it's fine. All right. um, as progress on that blog post? Almost there, or we're looking at it tomorrow? I feel like I need to put a good background on this thing too. Also, I need to finish these eyes. These eyes. These eyes. In a lot of love, but they're never gonna see another one like I have with you. These eyes. It's on its way to my inbox right now. Well, that's so nice. Thank you. Doop, doop, doop. Let's get this. Push this up. Just gonna go ahead and give this little nose a little bit of a spit shine. Shiny nose. Let's crack her open and give her a read. What do y'all say? Is that cool? You into it? Share the document. Chelsea Flaw, article 1.1. I love the title. Perfect schmurfect. Let's get weird with it. There's nothing quite like character creation to keep your creative muscles in shape when it comes to having fun playing Dungeons and Dragons. There's so many fun and exciting ways. I should fucking make a video of reading your all's blog articles because they're so good. They're so fucking good and they read so easily. It's like it's the first time looking at it, reading it, and I feel like I get the tempo. Like it's really good. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. There are so many fun and exciting ways to customize characters using things you find in the player's handbook. Things like race, class, backgrounds, and equipment can all give you ways to create characters that are more customized to your favorite style of play. However, we often overlook one of the most useful embellishments in Dungeons & Dragons Enthusiast's Toolkit. Enthusiast's Toolkit. Do all enthusiasts share a toolkit? Oz showed me the headline maker thing, and that ranked highest. Oh, I like. Hold on. What ranked highest? Perfect Schmurfect? Let's get weird with it. And awesome. I'm so happy you're using that tool. That's so great. It's like one less thing that I have to do. So yeah, this ranked high, I'm good. That's great. That's a super good title. All right. I'm talking, of course, about imperfections. Now hold up. I don't understand. Why would anyone want to be imperfect? Wouldn't it be better to try to have a perfect character? Well, I hope I'm not the one breaking this to you, to any of you. But in the real world, people aren't perfect. And I like it that way, damn it. Beautiful, creative characters come in all shapes and sizes. They're talking about me. I'm many shapes. And that's worth checking out. Can you imagine how boring life would be without challenges? How dull and meaningless would it be to be leagues ahead of everyone else around your level? I know the very real temptation exists to try and create overpowered characters, but honestly, I find the opposite strategy to be much more fun. As much as it is anything else, Dungeons & Dragons is a game against yourself. Winning a mixed fight might sound glorious, or a fixed fight might sound glorious, but it never feels as satisfying as testing yourself and passing with flying colors. Imperfections are, strangely, the perfect way to turn your challenge level up to 11. So what do you mean by imperfections? Well, simply put, imperfections are typically kinds of weaknesses. Imperfections are typically kinds of weaknesses. That sentence sounds weird. That we can give our characters to give us players a host of exciting new challenges. That seems like it could be restructured. I'm not 100% sure, but let's see what Grammarly has to say about it. It might. Yeah, no, it thinks that's great. It's pretty. Bucket. We should, yeah, we should change. We should say imperfections from here on out will be referred to as schmurfections. And then just like use schmurfections every place that we use imperfections. Which would be silly but hilarious to me. However, they often behave more as enrichments than imperfections, depending on how you handle them. Ranging from physical imperfections to mental imperfections to personality imperfections. They can be a great way of giving your characters a unique worldview. They also give you a chance at delving into extra dimensions of that character that you otherwise wouldn't have access to or give much thought to. What are some examples of imperfections that are fun to play? Here are a few of my all-time favorite characters with imperfections. Please note how every imperfection enriches the basic character archetype for each example. A character I have really enjoyed playing with in the past happens to be missing an eye. I will admit I know nothing about how this may or may not affect his depth perception. That's between him and his god, Dungeon Master. I was talking about this earlier, actually, how, like, Glass Eye Finnegan doesn't have great depth perception, and because his left eye is bad, I've always just treated it like anything on the left side of him, like where he's facing in the map, is obscured vision. But I don't think I've ever told like a DM like, hey, by the way, this is what is happening here. I've just acted like, oh, they stuck up on me, like, which is fun. I will admit, and blah blah. Okay. Still, I will say it's always I always enjoy approaching him on his left side and having him curse me out for unintentionally sneaking up on him. It's that sort of flavor that really brings a character to life and anchors you to the created world you're sharing in. One of my favorite characters that I have played is a barbarian druid with a heart of gold and a dump stat of 7 intelligence. He obviously isn't very smart, but somewhere between levels 1 and 8, he has really developed an emotional intelligence I've come to admire. Whether it's constructing entire dollhouse towns for a race of tiny people or entertaining local children by dancing his heart out, Playing him without the ability to rely on those all-important intelligence rolls is as challenging as it is oddly rewarding. My last experience of an imperfection that I always love to see is when a character struggles with cowardice. I've played with several cowards over the years, and I'd be lying if I said I didn't deeply appreciate the moxie it takes to wet your pantaloons and head for the hills. This one can be tricky to play depending on the others in your Dungeons and Dragons group. Like the real world, some people really hate it when they feel like others aren't pulling their weight. But if you're ever at my table, go right ahead. I'm here for great cooperative storytelling, and characters with cowardice always make for fascinating adventures. These are obviously not the only options for possible imperfections. In fact, there are a bunch of great ones I haven't even touched on. Things like being smell or taste blind. Great for dungeon crawls through sewers and not offending people trying to feed you their lousy cooking. Missing limbs. Maybe replace them with something traditional like a peg leg or an artificial limb, or just go ahead and get weird with it. Go for a crossbow for an arm like a medieval evil dead character. Just remember to clear it with your dungeon master first. I think I also was talking earlier about Clarice Monticello, and she's missing an arm, and I had no replacement for it. Vestigial arms. Sure, they may be too little and weak to win an arm wrestling match or carry your groceries, but imagine the role-playing possibilities. The arm sticking out of my neck waves at you. I'd slap it. Being mute. You don't need speech to be sassy. Be the strong and silent type. Let your great sword do the talking. Prosopagnosia. Prosopagnosia, also known as face blindness, is the inability to recognize people by their faces. Tired of being bad at names? Mix it up a bit and be bad with faces instead. And so many more. So what do you think? Care to take my challenge and give imperfections a shot? If so, let me know in the comments what imperfections you're going with. And don't forget to subscribe to our mailing list if you haven't already for a lot of great free content. Cool. Yeah, I think I would like to see if there's a better way to word this one. So what do you mean by imperfection? So I guess it says, well, simply put, which I don't feel like what's said afterward is very simply put. So like we probably could clip kinds of weaknesses, like, and typically, like, I mean, imperfections are weaknesses that we can give our characters to increase our playing challenge. Is that kind of like, is that saying it? Depending on how you handle them, they often behave more as enrichments than imperfections. Yeah, see, I don't think I feel like the however doesn't match with the previous sentence, right? Because it's kind of talking about like what they are in terms of the value that they add. They're bringing a new type of challenge to the player. Um, so I would actually maybe argue that you just say like something like imperfections are weaknesses that we can give our characters to provide us an interesting challenges and enrichment, right? Like all just kind of as one kaboom. And then just leave out like depending on how you handle them, that doesn't really say anything. Well, simply put, doesn't really say anything. Typically kinds of doesn't really say anything. So I think we can trim this sentence, this top part up. Ranging from physical imperfections to mental imperfections to personality imperfections. It can be a great way. So I think So okay. So there is something here that I think like we probably should talk about, which is that when we say imperfections, we are saying flaws, right? They are kind of the same thing, and there is a mechanism for that in Dungeons and Dragons. Like the flaws mechanism is a thing, and I'm wondering if it's worth it to maybe take like so the article's good, right? Like kind of as is, like make some minor tweaks to it, but okay. Um, but I'm wondering if we can maybe talk about these in the context of flaws. So just saying like these are flaws. Here's a bunch of flaws you can have that are different from the flaws in the player's handbook. These are the opportunity to take additional flaws, right? And then maybe even provide like a table of additional flaws. Like maybe because you kind of have a list here, right, of some good stuff, and we could probably get away with maybe codifying some of the other ones, like that are kind of pinned down at the top. But like I would say maybe 10 or 12 flaws that are not necessarily background specific. Like right, like the way that flaws are done in the player's handbook is they're done based off of your character background. Like that's where you get the table from. And I feel like these would be kind of like universal flaws that you can just kind of add to your character at character creation time, or you can develop them. Like, right, they're I always saw the flaws section being more personality based. Yeah, I mean, I think at some level it is, right? But you mentioned like personality flaws as kind of being part of this too. Um and maybe that's where the line needs to be drawn, right? Because like if we're saying that these are distinct from personality flaws, then we should leave personality flaws out of the article. Um, have access to give much thought to examples of imperfections that are fun to play. Defects? I don't know. See, I feel like God, this is turning out to be a harder article than I thought. Cause like now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, God, where is it? So let's go through some of the examples here, right? So like having a missing limb, right? It's a characteristic, it's a disability at some level, like somebody who has a disability. Um, I think the community of differently abled people would say they are differently abled, and that isn't an imperfection; it's a difference. And I'm like, okay, well that's great for like the cultural like emotional intelligence part of it, but it does fuck all for my Dungeons and Dragons game. Like I need a word, I need a way of describing this that is simultaneously going to get the point across and not piss off somebody in a wheelchair, right, or somebody who doesn't have a limb. Like it's kind of an interesting how topics are. We can do. Um, Yeah, yeah, I could see it. Like, yeah, I think that's what I'm feeling, right? Is I'm just like seeing, like, oh God, we're using the word imperfections like a million times here, and there's nothing wrong with that word, but having it repeated a bunch of times kind of implies that you're kind of feel like your hands are tied and you're unable to use other synonyms and other ways of describing the same thing, which is not too bad. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they're not really they don't really do they don't do the thing. Like what sucks is that they are how I think Dungeons and Dragons, like the game, has decided to describe them. Um, and at least in the context of personality flaws, like you said. But yeah, once you kind of get past that description, it's like God, that word those words don't do enough. They don't do very good for describing this. Um, and imperfections because in actuality nobody is perfect. Yeah, no, that's legit. That's legit. That's 100%. Yeah. No, yeah, I get it. I think that's yeah, you're probably right. Probably right. It just sucks because you can't like you literally can't use another synonym because they all somehow manage to fail to do what imperfections does just barely, right? That's so weird. All right, cool. Well, yeah, I'm not hung up on any of the things I said. I don't think any of them are clever, good enough, or whatever to consider much more thought than what I said. So how do people be letting their phone die for like hours? That, that's gotta suck, actually. Really? Oh, did I not get it on here? Yeah, if you want to give it another quick pass, like I wouldn't mind, like I said, I think that one sentence grouping is a little bit weird to me. The response to so what do you mean by imperfections? Um in fact, I'm wondering if like that whole paragraph. Let me see. This is still imperfections. Yeah, I'm wondering if that whole paragraph is actually better stated in the paragraph before it. Right? Like the paragraph before it's just like, oh, hold up. I don't understand. Why would anybody want to be imperfect? Wouldn't it be better to try and have a perfect character? So like in this paragraph, you're kind of going through the process of describing what imperfections are by virtue of what they aren't, right? You're kind of talking about like perfections and how that's not what's going on. Hey, Prada19, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome to the Watcher DM party, and yeah, hope you enjoy. We're doing some nerd things today. This is a digital painting of Krug, 7 intelligence. That's the look on the face is trying to imply. I've got a 7 intelligence, and I just realized something. And smell the smoke. Um, am I fucking tripping? I could have swore I downloaded this stupid app. I don't understand. Oh, there it is. Okay, cool. Routing number. Hold on a second. Oh, god damn it. All right. Anyway, yeah, if you want to keep working on it a little bit, go ahead and give it another pass. Maybe see if we can clean up some of that. I think the definition of what an imperfection is, maybe we could use a little tightening, and we can get rid of some of the wordiness here if possible. Um, and then if possible, I'd really like for us to take this kind of list that we have a bit further up in a previous edit. So let's see if we can do. Yeah. I feel like the first thing that should be happening, right, is we're saying like, hey, imperfections, it's a thing, right? We're doing that in the introductory paragraph, and then immediately afterwards saying, so what do you mean by imperfections, right? Like that's fine. Like I think that's a better flow. And then after that saying, okay, now why are imperfections meaningful in the context of a player character, right? And then the examples, and then what I think I'd really love the most again is to take those examples and like put them in a table where it's just very clear what it is, like one line, simple, easy. This is what this would be. This is what this would look like as a flaw. You know, if you were getting a flaw table from Dungeons and Dragons, right? So that the players basically can add it to their flaws list without needing to do any extra thinking, right, about how they're gonna, where they're gonna store it, where they're gonna put this information, how, what it's gonna mean to their character. Like they can just put it in their flaws and review their flaws and stuff before the game, which actually is something that that's another thing that I want to write a blog post about at some point, if I ever write a blog post, which is that so I know I've been going on and on lately about Mike Shea, the Lazy Dungeon Master / Flourish stuff, and he has like a really person do all this again. He has like a checklist, right? Like a process that you can go through for prepping for a Dungeons and Dragons game as a dungeon master. And I was like, God, like it seems like we should have that for a player too. Like, how many times have we sat down with players who were not prepared, and we didn't have any like there wasn't really anything to say to them like, oh, well, you know, next time if you follow this checklist, you'll be super prepared. Like, but I think it's a very doable thing, right? Like, so yeah, it wouldn't necessarily be a bad idea to write a post that's just like, hey, what's your you know, what's your background, what's your flaws, bonds, ideals, maybe think about like if you would like to have any scenes, specific scenes in the upcoming game. It's like a really important, I think it's a really cool thing to do. It happened in one of my recent games, I think the Humblewood game, where we got to the end of the game and Jesse was like, oh, okay, well, I wanted to have a scene with Clover, but you know, I guess like we'll just do that next time. And I was like, oh shit, I did not even bother to find out from the players if anybody had anything that they wanted to do. And I should have, because I think that's basically the best way to engage with that kind of stuff, right? Where you're like, oh, cool, the um, I know this happened last session. I want to have this scene this session. If I tell the DM, he can make sure that there's room for it, and can tell me, hey, this is the time for that. By the way, no, goodness, right? And then you can have that RP session with the person that you wanted to have an RP session with. I don't know. It just seems like really intuitive, and I don't know how I'd been missing it for so long. Know what I'm saying? Know what I mean, dog? Um, what's up? I went to eat a card. What eat it? Okay. Cool. Would you give one or activity? Okay, it's fine. says it will take about 4 days. Would you mind giving 2 of the gifts to Wookie and Ani as a early wedding present? Thanks. Cool. Then did he? So yeah, if we can make a little table out of some of these, that we can poke out at the end of the article, I think that would be a good ad. And let's try and do something in actually maybe some. There just isn't really a lot of good colors to do back here. Oops. Good there. Hey, Christina, I knew you loved them so much, that's why I asked you. I figured you'd have a good time with it, and they'd get to have a nice massage. I don't know how often they get to do that. Christina's that I was an angel. Hope I get my wigs. Sorry, I'm bumping my mic. All right, so let's get up into this and do some. Luke. Okay, we still good? We still good, dude. That's so cool. Like I'm watching you guys edit the document up here. That's really neat. And goes a little bit this way with it. But it's too late to say you're sorry. How would I know? Why should I care? Boo, 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 boo. I fucking love this beard. Might be the best beard I've ever drawn. So silly. Looks kind of like a Muppet. Like in a good way. Alright. I'm gonna go back into the reds here and try and do some brownie clowning. Because we kind of lost the brown color in these peepers. Need to bring back the brown. That's how you make them look alive, folks. It looks super fluffy. It does. It's a fluff monster. Maybe I can. A little bit of little white shinies on here. Scroopy Noopers. And that reminds me, today is Saturday. Is Rick and Morty out today? Maybe Rick and Morty might be out today. I like what you've done for a background here. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'm trying to get better at backgrounds. Let me put this in here. Rogue. Cool. Maximum compatibility. I think I might have There's something. Trying to remember. I was working on something recently, and I put some backgrounds in it that I thought were pretty decent. It might actually be this. This started off as something very different. Yeah, let me peel back some layers here, I think. Maybe I can actually just go like click. So yeah, this is actually, this is how this entire painting started, was I was like, oh, come on, start messing around with some background shapes and do the thing. And then I was like, okay, I actually should probably sketch some stuff and just kind of do some gestures and try and get, so this was like, I was kind of gesturing like, oh, okay, there's a couple people kind of chilling out. And then I was like, well, what if they were like sitting around a fire? So I kind of drew this in like 30 minutes, which, you know, it's not great, but it kind of, it reads. It's got, you know, the halfling turning around and the on the log, and the gnome kind of up like talking to people, and the half elf chick's like listening, Sun Elf's like listening, the drow's like trying to say some shit, this Goliath is kicking it. So yeah, I thought that was kind of okay. I showed that to the client, and they were like, "Oh, I like it," and I was like, "You like it the way it is, like the sitting?" And they were like, "Oh no, I totally want it to be like a something else." They were like, and they sent me a picture of like the Critical Role, you know, characters all standing in poses in front of the camera, like there's some fantasy cameraman out there, which, by the way, cool new NPC idea. Fantasy camera guy taking pictures of everybody for like his illusion book. Silly. But maybe he's got a blog, like he's got an illusionist blog, and he needs to do the thing. So then I started going through the process of like saying, okay, well, I need to start pinning down what I want to do for so this was a Draco Lich I was working on, which I think was actually coming along pretty good. That I may have to put some more time in on. But yeah, I was just really grabbing like these, like I said earlier, I was just legitimately grabbing these sheets of like, oh, here's poses, here's a bunch of poses for different things, and then put down a red line and kind of put some shapes down. Was like, okay, these are kind of the silhouettes based on some of these things that I have that I want, and then kind of did some just really sketchy kind of outline stuff for like each of them, basically just saying, okay, this is kind of the pose, this is the vibe I'm getting. And then yeah, I just kept working that up until I basically ended up with this as kind of like a general mask. And then I was like, okay, let's throw some values on it, and then some really simple colors, and then I've just kind of been touching it up ever since. So this isn't really, it doesn't have to be done for like a while. The PCs are not finishing their campaign for a little while, and that's what it's for. But that's what I'm working on. And yeah, you can see some of the background stuff in there is starting to look pretty respectable. Nothing, not perfect, but pretty respectable. This here that I was working on today was pretty weird, as I was kind of doing some. Yeah, I guess this is all just leading up to this. God, that's fucking scary looking, dude. It's so real. It's just like,
I'm gonna eat your face. Rawr. Juicy lips.
I'm gonna draw on this a little bit more. Oh, or not. Yeah, it's funny that person who was in here earlier today, the boozy, they were saying how this reminded them of Gremlins, and I was like, holy shit, it does look like a gremlin. It looks totally like a gremlin, dude. Like almost exactly, actually. It's got this kind of white fur down here that looks exactly like a fucking gremlin. But yeah, this glass eye, this is some shit right here. This took skill, dare I say, talent to get it to look even close to fucking right. Uh, it still looks a little wonky, but don't feed him after. Right. Don't water him, right? Pardon me. Anywho, don't feed me after midnight. Speaking of which, it is 10:23 p.m. Zeal, and that means that it is probably way past time for me to be getting into a heckin' sleep. So, and I just streamed for Pi time. Like it's literally 3:14:15, like right now. Like that just happened as I was saying it. If that's not magic, I don't fucking want to know what is. I don't think that's how the saying goes, but so yes, I think this is where I will leave the stuff tonight. Is we have a relatively decent drawing of Glasseye Finnegan that I can push out. We have a fantastic drawing of Krug that I just adore that we can use. God, I kind of want to get this strand here to look a little more like it's actually a strand. All right. Anyway, I always do this. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm gonna go now, and then I like fuck around with a drawing for like another 17 hours. That's your new author's portrait. It will be done. In fact, here I'm just not even gonna. I'm not gonna waste anybody's time. I'm gonna clip it at this size, and I'm gonna send this to you fucking immediately. And also, exciting new decisions. Blog written by Krog. Yes. Yes. In fact, I love the idea of us writing content first person. Like, first person fucking character content. You know what I'm saying? I think that shit's hilarious. The Pushy Palace party is coming up. Just confirm you are coming. I think I said I was coming. Did I say I was coming? Yes, I'm coming. Cool. I have a party I get to go to on Monday night. It's going to be fun. Oh, God. Wow. All right. How long was that stream? So that was an hour and a half before. I don't know, we just did 3.5, like 3 hours and 15 minutes now. That's like 5 hours of streaming today, which is way more than I usually do. I'm kind of stupid about. My brain is falling out of my brain, my skull, where my brain is. All right, I love you all so much. Thank you so much for watching and joining me and chatting with me. Mostly, as it helps me to feel like I am not alone while I work, which is super sweet. And yeah, if anybody sees this posterity on the YouTubes or whatever, don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. Post your comments. Actually, another thing, if anybody ever wants to do this, I'm just gonna say it out loud. So one thing the marketing guy told me is if we have clips of the stream for like the good stuff, that like grabbing those clips and putting them up as reels, because people who who enjoy watching like 30 seconds of content from me will probably also enjoy watching like hours of content from me. So if y'all are ever watching the stream and you're like, oh, that was really funny, make a note of the time if possible when that was happened, and if you shoot me those times, I can pull it out of the content and we can make a thing. This just looks better and better and better. I'm so excited about this. It looks awesome. All right, I love